Hey all you pilots out there, this is Nix coming back at you with another video. Now, I already had this F-15 video up, but I actually had to pull it down so I can erase all the narration that I had on it because I was severely misinformed, and I don't know if I was just brain farting or if it was my meds. I don't know, but I definitely had, for one, I had multiple missiles mixed up in my head for some reason for like 2 days straight. And I think it had a lot to do with all the medicine I was on because I had just got my shoulder done and all that, all those injections in my shoulder, and I was taking extra pain meds. And that, I was a little foggy. So I was doing these BVR fights in the F-15 trying to learn, and I was going off of faulty information on the missiles, for sure. Like, for some reason, I was thinking that the R-27ER was a Fox 3, when in fact it's a Fox 1, which means you have to maintain radar lock all the way in. You know, Fox 1 is the radar lock all the way in. Fox 2 is your infrared, your heaters. And your Fox 3s are missiles that have their own lock-in that they can go to when they lose guidance from the jet itself. That's what it means to go bulldog with a missile, by the way. So, and I had the ranges completely all bass-ackwards in my head for some reason, and it had me very confused while I was flying the F-15. So I wanted to put that video down because I didn't want all that faulty information being out there when I should know better. But I didn't, and I think it was just because I was working in a nice hazy medical fog, which I'm always in a little bit because I do have to take a lot of medicine because of my conditions. But I just wanted to get this video back up with correct information and also with more work. I took this video down a few days ago and I've been flying basically off stream a lot of the time, just working on BVR and BFM with correct missile information, and I'll tell you, it worked out a hell of a lot better. I was able to juke and dodge missiles correctly because I was actually performing the brakes and the cranks at the right time and not letting the missiles get closer than I should have been, and I was firing at the correct distances as well. So I can just say my BVR, I'm not a master by any means. I'm not a master of anything. I don't think anyone's a master of anything. You're always learning, but I definitely went leaps and bounds forward on my air superiority fighting and BVR fighting with the correct information. It made a huge difference. So this is still the same video. It's still the same clips. It's just a training montage of me learning the F-15, but I don't have the misconceptions of I had when I first made this video, and because I was very confused. And it seemed odd to me because by the information that I had,
I think he was
some of the missiles
paying
were
attention to that frog foot, and that's going to allow us to, hopefully, he'll freak out and go defensive, and I can press him, get within the Mars of the AMRAAM and just light him up. Or not.
Now that one was not just a mistake. This was because this was a Phoenix flying at me.
Well, that was friggin' quick. He must have fired a Phoenix a ways back.
And that
I
is
didn't
something
know
that was
until it
correct.
was Pitbull.
It was mainly from flankers. The trouble I was having because of the flankers and the R-27ERs and the R-27ETs, I had them all mixed up in my head, and I had the ranges I had were completely wrong. So now that I know that, it's a little bit more of a knowing that the BVR standoff is not near as one-sided as I thought it should have been. Because I was going with a different, outdated version of the Russian missiles, and I thought that the AMRAAMs were just going to outclass them completely, and it'd give me more time to work them, and that was not the case. And the Phoenix are just a pain in the ass because they move so fast, they get going so hard, they burn for so long, and they fire them from such a great distance that by the time you get an RWR from the Phoenix, if you didn't know it was already coming and you're not already making some kind of a dodge, you're probably toast, because by the time the RWR picks up, which the RWR goes off when the Phoenix starts homing in on you on its own radar. When it goes pitbull on you, that's when the RWR goes off. So by then you're already kind of hosed with that Phoenix, because that Phoenix is booking.
trying to hold the lock as long as I can. Okay, lost lock. I hope it went pit bull.
Good to go. Just launched.
And Fox 3.
I definitely have more faith in myself and in DCS No after getting to my... there's some people that did comment on the video and let me know that there was a problem, and I really appreciate that. And then I looked, I talked to some other people, a couple other pilots and some other people, and got all my figures and numbers accurately portrayed to me, so I knew exactly what was going on, and then I knew all the mistakes I was making right away, because I was like, oh, well, that makes all the difference in the world, knowing when how these missiles operate and so on and so forth, and the distances at which they do operate. So I was able to go out and BVR with a lot more success. Like I said, it's still not perfect. I get shot down just as much as anybody else does, but I definitely went out on some multiplayer servers and was able to go up and get 4 or 5 kills and then come back and land successfully, have good runs like that. Whereas before, it would basically be, I might get 1 or 2 kills, and a lot of the kills were like 1-to-1 standoffs where I'd die and they'd die, because, you know, I'm not flying the plane bad or wrong. I had just had the wrong ranges for certain things. So I would end up blowing up and blowing them up at the same time quite a bit until now. Now it's a little bit more... I've got a lot more tools. Like I said, knowing the ranges makes a gigantic difference. And I already knew how the missiles worked. I just was incorrect on how those Russian... Like I said, I thought those ERs were actually Fox 3s with a lot shorter range, but instead they're Fox 1s with about the same range. So the fact that it's Fox 1, though, still makes a big difference, because that means you can use your missile launches to try to kick them off the lock. You know, if a flanker fires a 27 ER at you, it's got to maintain an actual signal from the jet to the missile. So if they break off outside of gimbal, then their missile's going to go stupid. Whereas with an AMRAAM, if you break out a gimbal, the missile still has a chance to get to the target depending on the range you're in. Even if you're outside of the Mars, it can still have a chance to hone in on all by itself. It's just the closer you are, the more higher of a chance that is. That's why when someone says MAR, that's the minimum range from winter you can fire and they can't break off. So, and it's not necessarily a minimum, it's just really close to it. It's never 100%. But when you get into the MAR of the weapon, it's as close to 100% as you're going to get. And that's also why the Russian flankers R-27ET is an extended range infrared shot. So that's a very good missile because it's got a really far range. You know, like infrareds, heaters, sidewinders, you know, AIM-9s, all that stuff. Those are great because they lock onto the heat signature of your opponent. That's why they call them heaters. Those are infrared missiles. Those are Fox 2s. The biggest thing they have that hurts them, though, is that almost universally heaters have a fairly short range. Even really good ones don't have the highest range. You know, the best ones are just have really high off-voice bore sight capability and stuff, so where you can be more nose off and still get the missile to whip around to it. The ET, the Russian ET, is really cool because it's an infrared, and well, I was gonna say the other good thing about infrareds is you don't lock onto your opponent with a radar, which gives their RWR a signal letting them know that you're shooting at them. If you fire an infrared, their RWR has no friggin' idea because it's just the infrared seeker on the front of the missile is honing in onto the heat signature of that enemy jet. So the Russian ET is amazing because it's got a lot longer range for an infrared, and the flankers have that electro-optical sensor on the front. So they can actually lock onto an enemy plane from a lot longer distance as long as it's in front in that frontal cone and isn't too far away. And then you can fire an extended range heater at them, and the enemy won't know you locked them, and the enemy won't know that there's a missile coming at them either. So it's like stealth missile fighting. It doesn't have the range of like a 27ER or a AMRAAM, but it's got a decent amount more range than a normal infrared. And enjoy the rest of the video, and I'll see you guys at the end of the video. And this is nearing the end of the video here. This was when I had done a lot of flying with the F-15, but before I knew about all the missile problems I was doing, but I was still getting the hang of flying, and this is just a overhead brake landing that worked out really well. Again, I'm not the best pilot in the world, but this is a really good, high-quality overhead brake landing. It's nothing special on this landing, just came in up to speed, come over right to the top of the airfield, go full idle, and then make your gradual right hand or left hand depending on which way you're coming into the airfield, and just start making your nice slow brake into it, keeping your speed regular, keeping mild nose down to maintain your slow descent and your speed. Keep spotting your airfield to make sure you know where the runway's at so you don't under or overshoot your turn, because you don't want to come out of the turn and be way off, because then you're already your speed is out and you're going to come out of slope really bad. So you just keep spotting the airfield and keep watching your throttle. You have to feather the throttle back and forth when you're coming out. You don't want to come in you don't want to go too slow, because you don't want to come down and land too hard and break all your gear. And while you're in your brake, you just go into landing configuration, you know, full flaps, bring your gear out. Here we go, we come out of the turn, nice gradual turn. We were almost right in line when we came out. And then you just come right in and stay on glide slope until you land. Easy peasy. The only thing I thought was a problem with the F-15 was the nose gear steering. Like in the controls it says you can turn it off and on, which is normal for a fast speed jet, because you'd want to turn off your nose wheel steering so that you're just using the rudders, because when you get up to about 70 knots you can use the rudders and not actually turn the front wheel, because if you turn the front wheel when you're going fast you can jack it up. You can wreck so easy. It seemed like the F-15's nose wheel steering did not turn off no matter what you do, so it was a pain in the ass no matter what you did. And unless you just came down perfectly straight, no wind, flat and easy, and just came down perfect, you can get squirrely with that F-15 even on a good landing. So always pay attention to that, to your nose wheel, your steering when you land with the F-15. It's a little rough. And when I did look into that, it seems like it's that way for everybody. Like, it just doesn't work right. I don't know why. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's just a simple video. It wasn't really instructional. It was just a, hey, I'm learning how to fly the F-15, and here's video I shot of all the different streams while I was doing that. And later on I'll do better videos that probably have stories or things that happen on big streams, on multiplayer streams where something big happened and I caught it on video, and do something like that. But until then, I'm just learning all these different jets and putting montage videos together of those flights for now. I think my Frogfoot video was really good because I had a nice run at the end of that one. That was a good story. I'll probably, here soon when I get the modules together, I'll probably be making a lot of A-10 or close air support videos. And that's probably what I'll do. I'll do more of that than air superiority for sure. But I do enjoy flying the fast jets like I have been, to learn these things. It's really a lot of fun. And the next one I'm doing right now is the Sukhoi 33, the Navy flanker, the Navy version of the 27 flanker, and it is a nice jet. I find it easier to land with and stuff than the original, and it takes off a lot easier. You don't have to manhandle it off the runway like you do the 27, and it can carry more ordnance. Plus, you know, it is aircraft carrier certified, so you can also take it off from the aircraft carriers, and that's a lot of fun. But you guys take it easy, and I'll see you on the next video.